The late afternoon sun bathed the small village in a golden glow as Nkem balanced a basket of cassava on her head. She was known for her quiet grace, her beauty, and the way she treated everyone with kindness. That day, she noticed whispers trailing behind her like shadows. Children giggled, old women stared, and the men by the palm wine joint exchanged knowing glances. When she reached home, her mother was waiting at the doorway, wearing a strange, unreadable smile. Inside the compound, a tall, well-dressed man sat with her father. His crisp white shirt and polished shoes stood out against the dusty ground. Nkem, her father said, "This is Chike, the son of Chief Okafor from the city." Chike rose and gave her a gentle smile, his eyes warm but confident. "I have come," he began, "to ask for your hand in marriage. I promise to love you, respect you, and give you a good life." His voice carried the weight of sincerity, and for a moment, Nkem felt her heart race. The entire family gathered as Chike spoke of his plans, how he wanted to take her to the city, start a business together, and give her the life she deserved. Nkem's heart quietly said yes, but she did not speak. She glanced at her father, expecting his approval. Instead, he cleared his throat and looked away. Her mother's smile had vanished, replaced with a tight frown. "We will discuss," her father finally said, avoiding Chike's eyes. That night, whispers turned into arguments. Nkem overheard her father telling her mother, "That rich boy will never control my daughter. Wealth destroys humility." Her mother muttered, "Better she marries someone she can handle, someone from here." Nkem's stomach knotted. She didn't know then that her parents already had someone else in mind for her, someone whose very name made her shiver. The next morning, Nkem woke to the sound of her mother's voice in heated discussion with her father. She tiptoed to the kitchen, pretending to fetch water, but her ears were sharp. "I have spoken with my brother," her mother said. "His friend's son is looking for a wife. He may not have money, but he is one of us." Her father grunted in agreement. "Obina is a man of the street, yes, but he's humble. He drinks, but that's better than marrying into pride." The name hit Nkem like a slap, Obina. Everyone in the village knew him as the man who staggered daily around the palm wine joints, singing off-key songs and picking fights over nothing. His clothes were always stained, and his breath carried the heavy stench of cheap alcohol. The thought of him as a husband made her skin crawl. That afternoon, her worst fears came true. Obina came to their home, leaning on the gatepost with a bottle in hand. His shirt hung loosely from his frame, and his eyes were half closed. "Oh, Nkem, my wife-to-be," he slurred with a crooked grin. "I hear they are saving you for me." Her father beamed as though the drunkard were a prize. "She will make a good wife for you, Obina," he said proudly. Nkem's heart sank into her stomach. She glanced toward the road, hoping Chike would appear and rescue her, but the street was empty. That night, Nkem lay awake, her mind racing. How could her parents reject a man who offered love, stability, and respect, only to push her into the arms of a man drowning in alcohol? She felt the first stirrings of rebellion rising within her, but she also knew defying her family would not come without a price. The next day, Nkem gathered her courage and approached her father. She found him mending a fishing net beneath the mango tree. "Papa," she began softly, "why do you want me to marry Obina?" He looked up briefly. "Because he is a man who will never look down on you. With him, you will remain humble. Chike's money will destroy you." "Papa, Chike is not like that," Nkem pleaded. "He is kind. He wants to give me a future. Obina, he can't even take care of himself." Her father's brows knitted in annoyance. "You are young, Nkem. You don't understand life," he said. "Love is not what makes marriage last. Obedience does. And I will not have you disobeying me." Tears blurred Nkem's vision. She tried her mother next, but Mama was no softer. "Your father has spoken. We know what is best for you. A rich man's wife becomes his servant. At least with Obina, you will be the one in control." That night, Nkem sat under the moonlight, feeling trapped between her heart and her family. She thought of Chike's smile, the sincerity in his voice, and the way he had looked at her like she was worth the world. Then she thought of Obina's drunken laughter echoing in the streets. the comparison felt like an insult. She made a silent vow, if there was a way to fight this, she would find it. 3 days later, Chike returned to the village. This time, he came with his uncle, a respected elder, to formally seek her family's consent. The visit was filled with polite greetings and ceremonial introductions. Nkem's heart pounded with hope, surely her parents would see reason now. Chike spoke earnestly. I know Nkem is a treasure. I want to marry her not just for her beauty, but for her heart. I am ready to meet any conditions you set. But her father remained unmoved. We have already given our word elsewhere. I will not go back on it. Chike frowned. Is this about money? I am willing to support your family if that is the concern. Her father's voice hardened. It is not about money. It is about principle. My daughter will not marry into a family that lives in the shadow of wealth and arrogance. Nkem's hands shook as she served kola nuts. She wanted to scream the truth, that this was not about principle but stubborn pride. Chike met her eyes briefly, and she saw the silent question, should I fight harder? She wished she could answer. When he left that evening, Nkem felt the gap between them widening. It was no longer just about love, it was a battle against forces stronger than either of them had imagined. Word of the marriage dispute spread quickly through the village. Some sided with her parents, agreeing that a rich man would spoil a simple village girl. Others shook their heads, calling her parents' decision foolish. One afternoon, as Nkem fetched water from the stream, an elderly woman named Mama Ifeoma pulled her aside. My child, she said, marriage is a lifetime journey. Choose the man who will walk it with you in peace. If your heart is with the rich man, fight for it. Don't let anyone trap you. Nkem sighed. How do I fight my own parents? Mama Ifeoma smiled sadly. Sometimes, fighting means making a choice and living with the consequences. Even if it means losing your family for a time. The words lingered in Nkem's mind. That night, she dreamt of a path that forked in two, one leading to a bright city, the other into darkness. She woke with a start, wondering if the dream was a warning or a challenge. The next day, the village youth whispered that Obinna had been seen fighting over unpaid palm wine. Yet her father pretended not to hear, insisting the wedding plans would soon begin. Nkem realized she was running out of time. Unable to bear it, Nkem sent a message to Chike through a trusted friend. They met at dusk by the old fig tree on the edge of the village. Nkem, Chike said, holding her hands, I will not let them take you from me. We can go to the city and marry there. Her heart ached at the thought. If I live like that, they will disown me. I will lose my family forever. Chike's voice was firm. Sometimes, to gain the life you want, you must risk the one you have. I will protect you. They spoke for over an hour, weighing options and imagining futures. In the end, they agreed to wait just a little longer, perhaps her parents would change their minds. But as they parted, Nkem felt the air growing heavier with each passing day, as though fate itself was pressing down on them. A week later, Obinna began walking through the village calling Nkem my wife to anyone who would listen. Sometimes drunk, sometimes sober, he would boast about the fine life they would have together. One evening, he staggered into Nkem's compound uninvited. Oh, my beautiful bride, he slurred, come and dance with me. He reached for her arm, but she pulled away sharply. Her father laughed it off. Don't be shy, Nkem. Soon you will be his. Nkem's chest tightened. Every word felt like a nail sealing her fate. She retreated to her room, locking the door, and wept until her pillow was soaked. That night, she wrote in her small journal, if I marry him, my life will wither like a flower in dry season. The following morning, her father called her to the veranda. Your marriage to Obinna will take place in 1 month, he announced. There is no more discussion. Nkem's breath caught. Papa, please. No more words, he snapped. If you refuse, you will no longer be welcome under my roof. Her mother, sitting nearby, avoided her gaze. It was clear that both had made their decision. That evening, Nkem sent another message to Chike. His reply came swiftly, we cannot wait any longer. Meet me tomorrow night. We will decide our future. Under the cover of darkness, Nkem slipped out to meet Chike at the fig tree. He had brought a small bag with clothes and money. If you come with me now, we can marry in the city and start anew, he said. Nkem's hands trembled. She thought of Mama Ifeoma's words, of her father's stubbornness, of Obina's drunken laughter. She thought of the life she truly wanted. Tears streamed down her face. Chike. I can't. Not yet. I'm afraid. Chike's expression fell, but he nodded. I will wait for you, until the day you are ready. But promise me you will not give your heart to that man. She promised, and they parted once more, uncertain if their paths would meet again. With the date set, her family began preparing for the wedding. Relatives arrived, the compound was swept daily, and her mother proudly showed off the list of items Obina's family had agreed to bring. Nkem moved through the days like a shadow. She barely spoke, barely ate. At night, she lay awake, wondering if Chike still waited or if he had finally given up. The more the preparations progressed, the more suffocated she felt. The laughter of relatives, the clinking of bottles, the endless chatter about the feast, all of it sounded like noise drowning her last hopes. In her heart, she knew the month would pass quickly. And unless she found the courage soon, she would walk into a marriage that would shatter her spirit. The engagement ceremony was held in the village square, under a large canopy decorated with palm fronds and bright fabrics. Drums played as villagers gathered, curious to see the union between the beautiful Nkem and the infamous Obina. Obina arrived late, already smelling of alcohol. He swayed slightly as he greeted the elders, his words slurring in between forced smiles. Still, her father beamed with pride, as though this was the perfect match he had dreamed of. Nkem sat in silence, her eyes fixed on the ground, her heart screaming for escape. When it was her turn to serve palm wine to her husband-to-be, she walked slowly, the calabash trembling in her hands. Obina snatched it eagerly and gulped it down before laughing loudly. This one will give me many sons, he declared, to the amusement of some and the discomfort of others. That night, after the ceremony, Nkem overheard whispers among the guests. Some wondered how such a beautiful and gentle girl had been given to a man who could barely stand straight. Others shook their heads, muttering that her parents had allowed pride to cloud their judgment. Nkem lay awake, her mind turning like a storm. Every step toward the wedding felt like a march toward her own funeral. 2 days later, Mama Ifeoma paid Nkem a visit. She came bearing roasted groundnuts and a serious expression. My child, she began, I saw how you looked at the engagement. You were not happy. Why do you let them push you into this? Tears welled in Nkem's eyes. Mama, they will cast me out if I refuse. I will have no family. Mama Ifeoma leaned forward. Better no family than a lifetime of misery. You think they will protect you after you marry him? No. They will tell you to endure, even if he beats you or wastes your life. The old woman's words pierced Nkem's heart. She knew they were true, but fear still chained her to her parents' will. Before leaving, Mama Ifeoma pressed a small bundle into her hand. If you ever decide to leave, this will help you. It's not much, but it may buy you a start somewhere. Nkem opened it after she left and saw a few crisp notes folded neatly. It was the first glimmer of hope she had seen in weeks. Chike returned quietly one afternoon, seeking out Nkem at the stream. She was startled to see him, but her heart leapt. I heard the engagement has happened, he said, his voice tight. Nkem, I can't stand by and watch you ruin your life. I have a small apartment in the city. We can leave tonight. Nkem hesitated. Chike, I'm afraid. If I go, they will never forgive me. He took her hands. And if you stay, will you forgive yourself? Her throat tightened. She wanted to say yes, to run away with him, but the fear of the unknown was heavy. Give me until the wedding day, she whispered. If I change my mind, I'll meet you. He nodded slowly. I'll be waiting. As the wedding day drew closer, Nkem began noticing small things that made her stomach twist. Obina came to see her twice more, each time drunk, and once he asked if she knew how to borrow money for business because he had debts to clear. One evening, she overheard him arguing with a friend about gambling losses. The realization hit her like cold water. This man not only drank, he gambled recklessly. When she confronted her mother, Mama waved it off. Men have their flaws. Marriage is about patience. Nkem thought bitterly that this wasn't patience, it was walking into a fire with her eyes open. 3 days before the wedding, Obinna arrived drunk and started an argument in the compound. He accused Nkem of acting too proud because she had not smiled at him earlier that day. When she tried to walk away, he grabbed her wrist roughly. Her father came out and, instead of defending her, told her sharply, "You must learn to respect your husband." In that moment, something inside Nkem broke. She realized that once she married Obinna, she would be entirely alone in her suffering. Her parents would never take her side. That night, she sat in the dark, clutching Mama Ifeoma's bundle of money and thinking of Chike. On the eve of the wedding, while the village slept, Nkem slipped out of the house. She carried only a small bag and Mama Ifeoma's gift. She made her way to the fig tree, her heart pounding with every step. Chike was there, waiting in the shadows. When he saw her, relief washed over his face. "Are you sure?" he whispered. "Yes," she said firmly. "I would rather face the unknown with you than die slowly here." Without another word, they began the journey to the city under the cover of night, leaving the noise and judgment of the village behind. The city was noisy, crowded, and alive. Chike's apartment was small but neat, and for the first time in months, Nkem felt safe. She began helping Chike with his small trading business, learning quickly and attracting customers with her warm smile. They kept their marriage plans quiet, knowing her family might come looking for her. Though life was not yet easy, it was peaceful, and for Nkem, that peace was priceless. Back in the village, chaos erupted when her family discovered she was gone. Her father was furious, calling her ungrateful. Her mother wept loudly, telling neighbors that Nkem had shamed them. Obinna was humiliated, and his drunken rants turned bitter. He told anyone who would listen that Nkem was not worth it, and that she would crawl back to him one day. But Nkem heard none of this. In the city, she focused on building a life that was hers alone. 6 months later, Chike and Nkem married quietly in a small church. There were no drums, no crowds, only a handful of friends who wished them well. As they exchanged vows, Nkem felt a deep gratitude for the courage she had found at the last moment. She knew the road ahead would have its challenges, but she was no longer trapped in a life chosen by others. After the ceremony, they returned to their small apartment, hand in hand, ready to face the world together. Years later, Nkem would look back on that time and realize that the greatest battle she had fought was not against her parents or Obinna, but against her own fear. She had learned that a life lived in obedience to others at the expense of one's own happiness was no life at all. The village still gossiped, and her parents never fully forgave her, but she lived each day knowing she had chosen freedom over misery. Her story became a quiet lesson to other young women. Marriage is not a family's decision, it is the journey of the two who walk it.